Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and here we are talking about the best films of this year. It has been a tough year, a lot of movies didn't release, a lot of movies meant for theaters were released on OTT platforms and a lot of things happened. But it has become a ritual for the channel to make a video like this at the end of the year talking about the best films. As I said, a lot of films released on OTT which were meant for theaters, and I feel the way we received some of them is maybe the reason because we didn't watch it in theaters. Now warning as always that this is my personal list, my personal favorite films of the year. You don't have to agree with me at all. It's totally alright because the list is based on my experiences. Maybe a film you hated but I loved it. It can be like that, and in no way this video is telling everyone, oh, this were the best films. This is just my personal list of the year. Now if this is the first time you're watching the best film video, I'll tell you I don't do top 5, top 10, nothing like that. Instead of that, I do 3 levels: level 3, level 2, level 1. Level 3 are the films which may not have worked as a film, but there was ambition, there was effort, so I want to appreciate them. Level 2 is really good films, but there are some issues here and there, or it had something which weighed down and they didn't become the best films. And level 1 is of course the best films which worked as a whole. They may have flaws, they may have issues, but the overall film, the filmmaking, the performances were way above it. Now as always, there are some of the films which I couldn't watch this year which could have made this list, like Ib Ale O, Sir, Tesh, Darban, Bhosle, Bahut Hua Samman, and a lot of Hollywood films. And as always, whenever I watch them, I'll update you in the comments and add them to the levels which I think they deserve, according to me. Now just one last thing, while I'm talking about the films, I'll just shift here and you'll be able to see the film poster, where it's available, and if I've reviewed it or I talked about it in what I watched this month video for your reference. So do let me know your list in the comments below, and while you're doing that, do hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing and hit the bell icon to get more such videos in next year. A lot of new things are coming. We are planning something really big. I want to share it with you guys, but I'll do it soon, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's start. All the films are in the order of watching them. So let's start with level 3. First one would be Tanaji, the Unsung Warrior. A really good attempt by Ajay Devgan. His goal is to start a series like this talking about various unsung heroes from Indian history. I like that the film was very stylized, it feels like a Amar Chitrakatha comic, and I think the screenplay is really tight. There are some issues with the VFX, with characters. A lot of them are very single tone, and it's more style over substance. And talking about style, next one is Malang, the trailer for which was really interesting, but the movie didn't deliver as much. Again, a lot of style, a very gritty thriller, a lot of ideas in the film I really liked. It was fresh, but the execution was very cliched. Too many songs, unnecessary love drama. It could have been such a different film, but it wasn't. But it deserves a shout out. Guilty, starring Kaira Advani. It's on Netflix. It talked about the Me Too issue, sexual harassment, and something very similar to what Pink talked about, and how the society is not at all helpful to the victim. I think the screenplay was not tight at all. It was all over the place sometimes, and the climax is too preachy for the tone the film was trying to set. And apart from Kaira, no one stood out for me. Next is Diya, the Kannada film I watched. It was just a different experience altogether. The review is out, you can check it out. It was really fresh to see a love story through a women's perspective. Really liked the first 15-20 minutes of the film, but in the second half it again falls into a cliche storyline we have seen multiple times, and there are some shocking twists in the film which I really liked, but at the end of the day they all don't really make sense. It doesn't come together as a film. They are just twists to shock you. That's it. They don't hold any value. Plus there are a lot of character issues too, but overall it was a nice watch. Next, Trance, which I'm sure some people didn't like at all, and some people just call it a masterpiece, and there are a lot of people in that spectrum, and I'm sure for some of you it will be in level 1, but for me it's in level 3. Just loved the first half, totally loved it. Fahad was amazing. Srinath Basi has such a small role, but he nailed it, but the whole second half just falls apart. I have no clue what they were trying to do, what's happening in the film. People have a lot of theories. The review is out and people told me I didn't understand the film, but I don't think that's the case, because general consensus is that the second half something went wrong, and either they were trying to be too smart or they even don't know what happened. But definitely one of Fahad's best performance, and I would say I can just watch the film just for Fahad Fasil. Next is Gulab Sitabo. When I first heard about this film, I was really excited for it because Amitabh Bachchan was doing very different kind of a role, and it was directed by Surjit Sarkar, but it failed. For me at least. Some people really loved it, but for me it didn't work at all. The characters didn't fit well. It was very inconsistent. It does a lot of things right, but a lot of things just fall apart for me. Next is Gunjan Saxena. There was a lot of criticism about this film already before even watching the film about nepotism, but I went fresh in the film and I really liked it. I could see the director's vision, what he was trying to do. Now the debate about if the story is real, it was a propaganda and all of that stuff, like, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to see the film and what it is about. I didn't went in into this film, to know about the real person. I knew it would be a lot of fiction added to it to make it more dramatized. So all the changes made in the film, I don't care about it. For me, it was a story about a female pilot and how she rised over all the patriarchy around her. There were some moments that things didn't work out. There were scenes that Janhvi Kapoor couldn't give 100%, and I think that they could have been a better actress who could play that role. Next is Cargo by Aarti Kadav. Even got to interview her about this film, so do check it out if you haven't. Now, I just love the concept, the idea, the whole world building. I just loved it. But for me, there were a lot of inconsistencies in the characters. But for the concept, the idea, the ambition, the look of the film, everything was just amazing. Next is Serious Man, Sai Nawazuddin, came on Netflix. Really fun film. Liked it. It talked about the middle class ideology, how to, become rich generation by generation. The review is out, you can check it out. I feel in the second half the film again falters here and there, and again as a whole it really doesn't work for me. It was more kind of a one-time watch. Next one is The Half of It, came out on Netflix. Really love the trailer for it. It was really good. I like that kind of movies. If you haven't seen, go check The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I just love that kind of movies, self-exploring movies, and this was supposed to be that, with an immigrant living in US and she's a lesbian, exploring that side of her. So it was really cool. Really liked the film too, but the second half and the climax just ruined the film for me. It became a very cheesy, cheeky rom-com film, and I was expecting more of philosophical way of looking at life, but just fall flat, but did enjoy it. Next one is Devil All the Time. Now this one was really good. It's based on a novel, and the film feels like a novel. The way it's narrated, the way the events take place, the acting was fabulous throughout. Amazing cast, and the film explores a lot of themes, but there was nothing special that I feel okay, that was great. In the middle, sometimes it falters, the pace falls down, and I think this is very region specific film. Like Americans would get the film more and and relate to it more, but for us Indians it's not that relatable, and I think that's the biggest reason it's not in level 2 and it's in level 3. Next is Ludo. Again, style over substance. Good film, good screenplay, a good attempt to tell a story, great characters, but again falters a lot of time. Some characters just didn't stick out. It was all Pankaj Tripathi and Rajkumar Rao, and the ending felt a little off. Again, reviews out for this. And the last one in the list is Anjam Patira. Watched it recently, the review is already out. It really impressed me. I heard a lot of negative things about the film, but still I enjoyed it. It was impressive, but with a lot of issues as I discussed in the review. So moving on to level 2. The first one is Chintu Ka Birthday. It came on Z5, produced by Tanmay Bhatt. Really sweet, innocent movie. Really liked it. Fully shot in one single house, that's it. And being innocent, it talks about a lot of things, and the major thing is humanity. One drawback for me was that it was Chintu Ka Birthday, but I felt that Chintu was missing. There were very less scenes with him, and he was not driving the plot really. It was all the adults, and I thought that when you have a kid like this, he should be driving the plot, or something should be happening with him, but it was not the case. But that's a small issue, but it matters. Next is Choked by Nirakashyap. Now I like this film but was not wowed by it, but I watched Cinema Wali's video essay on this and I was just blown away by the writing. But still I feel there are some of the issues the film had, which we went discussed about in a live stream, so go check it out. Next one is Loot Case. Really enjoyed this film. It was very funny. Finally a good comedy film in Hindi cinema. The actors are really good, the characters are very enjoyable, and it has a very cliche storyline of middle class person getting a lot of money, but the way it's treated, the way it's executed, it's very fresh. Next is Kuda Hafiz. The trailer was really interesting, and when I watched the film I was really impressed. They kept it all real. It never became over the top. I said in a review, this is the right step towards making action films in India. We don't want a Baghi 3 kind of films. Everyone put their full heart in this. I think Vidyut Jamwal's best performance. He's not known for acting, more for action, but here he did a good job. Not the best film, had some issues with it, but again it stands out as an action film. Next is Kapela. Didn't make a review about it but talked in a live stream. Really liked it, really liked the screenplay. It plays with you. It's very unexpected. It's suspense and thriller. You don't expect that, when the first 30 minutes happen of the film. But again, it didn't really stand out for me. I think it was all about the editing and the screenplay, deceiving the audience. There was not more than that. There were not layers they were exploring in the film, but amazing performance and a great screenplay. Next is See You Soon. Spent a lot of time making a review for this one, so if you haven't seen, go check it out. Again, very fresh, something new, experimental, not been done in India, and I think technically it was very well done, but story wise, screenplay wise, it falters at some points in the film, which weighs it down. Fahad Fasil was again superb. and cannot wait to see the other version of this film which the director said they'll make, so fingers crossed. Next is Hit, the Telugu film. Watched a long time back. I remember really liking it. There were some minor issues which weighed the film down, but overall very slick action film. The acting was good, it was very grounded, and I really enjoyed it. Next is Sorori Potru. It was great experience watching it. I think it should have been on big screen, but unfortunately we couldn't. Overall really enjoyed this film, but it also had some issues here and there which I talked about in the review, as well as we did a live stream on this. But again, this film had the potential to be the perfect film, but it wasn't, and that's why we wanted to be better, and we discussed all of that in the review. Surya and Aparna Balamurali were great. Next is Middle Class Melodies. Really enjoyed it. Talked about the film in the live stream. Very simple, very sweet, kind of felt like a Malayalam film in a way, and I think the director said that he was very inspired from Malayalam cinema. It does falters here and there sometimes, but overall a really good film. Next is the anthology Pavaka Thaigal. I think one of the best anthology we saw this year. The reviews out, you can check it. Some films are really good, some are not, and I think that's the only reason it's in level 2. Next is Wonder Woman 1984. Now there are a lot of mixed reviews about the film, and my reviews out, you can check it out. Really enjoyed it in the theaters, how it was meant to be, and I think that was a big fact. I enjoyed it. Best part for me were the villains, which were a big issue in the first one, and here they are real people, they are real characters, and there's depth to them, so really enjoyed the film. Next is AK vs AK, the experimental film by Vikramaditya Motwani, my favorite director. The reviews out. Again, spent a lot of time making that video, so check it out if you haven't. Great ambition behind this, really well executed, but again falters here and there. Sometimes the acting was a bit issue for me, but overall great attempt. Next is Pixar's Soul. We'll talk about it in depth, in the coming What I Watched This Month video. But really enjoyed it. Pixar, as always, does a great job. The only drawback for me was, I was not that much emotionally attached to the main character as I expect from other Pixar films. Next is again Pixar's Onward. Just saw it yesterday. Very emotional for me. Really enjoyed the concept. Again, we'll talk in depth about it in the coming live stream. The drawback in this one was sometimes the animation was a little off for me, as well as the story was quite predictable. What we see in Pixar films, where the characters do something, they go on an adventure and they learn something. It was quite predictable. Next is Raat Akeli Hai. Really missed this film, but today finally watched it. Again, we'll talk about in depth in the coming live stream. Really liked it. Nawaz was really good. The screenplay was really good. I would say it was a little longer, could have been cut down, but a great job at doing a whodunit murder mystery and to make it Indianized. Okay, now coming to level 1. The first one is Thappad starring Taapsee Pannu, directed by Anubhav Sinha. Really liked the film. It talks about a thing that in a society we don't even consider that it's an issue. It is dealt with such care and caution. At no times it feels like preachy. And there are multiple characters in the film and everyone delivers. There is a criticism that the film is too long and there's unnecessary subplots, but I didn't feel that. For me, the whole film is necessary to drive the point ahead. Next is Kamiya, a film that a lot of people missed out. Definitely check it out on Netflix. It talks about the character actors who were really famous back then, but today they are not asked for because that kind of acting is called cringe today, and the story is all about that. Wonderfully done, and I just love the ending. Next is the Malayalam film Ayappam Koshiyam, directed by the late Sachi. From the first 15 minutes, I just loved the film. The review is out, you can check it out. There were one or two things which I pointed out in the review, but again, as I said, as a whole, this film works wonderfully. The performances were amazing, and the screenplay was top notch. Next is again a Malayalam film, Halal Love Story. Now a lot of people will not agree with me, terming this as the best film, but for me it has a special place in my heart. Wonderfully executed, so funny, so light-hearted. It has depth and layers. The characters are three-dimensional. There's more things going on than we see, and the whole aspect of them making a film and what happens behind the scenes, wonderfully captured. And the last is The Trial of Chicago 7 by Aaron Sawkin. What a great film. I love co-drama, and it does such a good job of showing what really happened back then in a stylized manner, but even commenting on what's happening today, and not even in America, even in India. Wonderfully done. The performances were great, and if you haven't seen it, do check it out. It's on Netflix. So guys, that was my list. Cannot wait to see your list in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, do hit the like button, share the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, check out the videos. If you like them too, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next year. Or not.